Matthew, how you doing?
Yeah, good mate. How are you?
Yes, not bad, not bad at all. Not bad, can't complain. What's the purpose of your call today then, my friend? How can I help you?
I was just looking to find out more about rent to rent and the kind of course and the guidance that you give.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's the purpose mainly.
Cool. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself first and like where you're at and I guess what you're doing for work and things like that. Give me a bit of an idea about.
So I'm working in accounts at the minute.
Mhm.
I've got a chunk of money saved up that I'd be looking to kind of invest into property.
Yeah,
I've been looking into kind of different areas. I have been looking at the simple kind of buy to let type of strategy.
yeah.
But I noticed one of your posts regarding like putting in money into buy to let was cash flow use kind of like £300 per month, and
Mhm.
rent to rent, if you can get it right, it could cash flow you kind of like up to £900 a month per
Yeah,
one property.
yeah.
So that kind of interested me, and I wanted to find out more about how to kind of start the process and like
hmm
finding leads, that type of thing.
hmm
Um, so yeah, and I understand it's kind of like more of an active sort of
Definitely. Yeah.
strategy to start off with than buy to let, which is kind of a lot more passive. But
Yeah.
I'd be happy to put in the hours,
hmm
and it's definitely something I want to look into further.
Got you, got you. So, yeah, I mean, you've kind of hit the nail on the head there, really. The two differences between buy to let and rent to rent mainly are buy to let's obviously investing. And rent to rent is starting a business, so there is a bit more time and effort involved. But I mean, once you develop the skills and you get educated and you get a bit of guidance, then there's a lot of opportunity out there for landlords who are in need of someone with a bit more energy, a bit
Yeah,
a bit of now, someone with a bit more time on their hands to maybe maximize their asset. You know, if you think about our ideal sort of avatar for a landlord is someone sort of in the late stages of their landlord career, so 50s, 60s, maybe they've owned it for 20, 30 years.
yeah,
Mortgages nearly paid off, and they just at that point in their life, they normally have a portfolio. That's normally our ideal clients. They normally have at least three or four houses, HMOs, and they're just looking for someone who's going to be able to come in and give them their time back. Because if they're managing it themselves, then there's a lot of things that happen with HMOs that tend to be a bit stressful, just tenant
yeah,
management, maintenance, that sort of stuff. And being in their 50s and 60s, they just can't really be bothered with it, you know? And they've already made a lot of their wealth from owning the
yeah.
asset for 20, 30 years. So
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely something that I want to look into. Like, kind of like if I was to get started and be able to kind of scale it a little bit, would be I'd be looking to move the money into kind of passive sort of ways.
yeah,
That would be my ideal kind of goal with it.
yeah.
But yeah, and it would be good kind of learning because having the passive properties initially, I'd be managing them myself.
hmm
I'd have that kind of experience with property already, and that
hmm
would definitely benefit me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah,
Whereabouts are you based in Wales?
yeah, you could tell, could you?
Yeah, I can tell, mate. I can tell, mate. Yeah. It's just like being at home.
Cardiff.
You're in Cardiff, are you?
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of your videos. You mentioned South Wales, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's well,
prime sort of area.
that's where the whole business is based, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, my dad's lived down there for the last 20, 30 years. He's lived in Newport.
yeah,
So, I mean, I'm originally from London, but he's always on at me to come down there for years. Come and have a look. You know, properties are cheap and stuff. But me
yeah. A lot
being
cheaper than London. Yeah,
rebellious young man that I've always been, is like, whatever, dad, you know, I'm all right in London. I'm having fun. But as I've got older, you know, I thought, okay, let me go down there and see for myself. And when I first started rent to rent, I was looking in London originally, but prices obviously, yeah, like we've just said there, are a lot more expensive. And with rent to rent, you're typically looking at 2 months up front in terms of like first month,
yeah,
last month, and then you've got to pay for the furniture as well. Sometimes like a little bit of a cosmetic refurbishment as well. So in London, that was going to cost me around, all in all, about £8,000 just to get one sort of HMO going. Whereas coming
yeah.
down to Newport, I could rent the same house for like £1,200, £1,300, 2 months up front, two and a half grand, a grand and a half on
Is that
furniture.
mainly where you picked up properties, Newport or
Yeah,
Cardiff as well, or
it was
just
mainly
Newport? Was it?
mainly Newport. We do have one in Cardiff on North Road.
Okay.
But mainly Newport. Yeah, that's where most of them are. And then the ones that we've bought are up in the valleys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
nice
buy
and
to let.
yeah, for buy to let. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
So
so like you said, good area. Like I got local knowledge. I know the
yeah, yeah,
place and lots of
yeah.
opportunity.
Loads of opportunity, loads of old tired houses that need a little bit of sprucing up, loads of businesses that are coming to the
Lots of
area.
HMOs as well, because I had a little look because I've been doing a little bit of research and there was
Yeah.
I seen someone mentioned about looking into like HMO listings,
Hmm.
kind of like through the council. So
Hmm.
I had a look on there. There was like 90 odd pages of different HMOs, and
There's a
then
lot.
it would obviously be about that was just Cardiff as well. So
Yeah, yeah. Cardiff is a great area. I mean, like obviously it's just the capital, isn't it? But
yeah,
there used to be like there's Article 4 that's come in now that's like making you have to have an HMO license for all properties where there's more than three unrelated people living in them.
okay, yeah,
But previously there wasn't Article 4 in some parts of Wales, especially like some parts of Cardiff as well. So that's just the way the council basically getting paid for. They just see landlords making money from multi-let, and then they
and they
think
want to charge them,
they want
yeah,
to get their feet. They dress it up as obviously like protecting the tenants and making sure tenants are living in safe houses, but ultimately it's a bit of a shakedown to be honest. But it's just part of the game, you know. So you will see
yeah,
hundreds and hundreds of properties that have HMO licenses. But typically, like what I found is you get landlords who have been using sort of the old methods of HMO, which is more like DSS tenants or student model,
okay, yeah.
and you know the
That's
old
not
school.
something you want to get involved with, then,
Not really, no, just because of the
especially, yeah,
efficiency of the business. You know, you want to have like people that are always going to pay on time,
yeah,
and
exactly, yeah.
yeah, if you're guaranteeing the rent, you can't really have like someone not paying because obviously,
DSS, no chance,
yeah,
no.
it makes it an issue. So, but there are a lot of landlords who have been used to just not really putting money back into their asset, just I guess getting away with buying the house and just renting it to five individuals by the room for minimum price, not really refurbishing the property at all, and just getting away with doing that. But because obviously the market's evolved now, you find landlords who have that attitude towards landlording, they become a bit unstuck because
Yeah.
they have these void periods, they have empty rooms, and they're wondering why, but it's because they haven't really evolved with the market and
Hmm.
like improved the product. So that's where your service can come in and sort of be the bridge between where they were and where they want to get to.
Yeah.
And you can help them. Those have been our best deals where there's been a landlord who's struggling a bit overwhelmed with it all. Maybe they've got busy family life or, you know, other work commitments, and they just need someone with a bit more energy who can come in and share the workload, basically. They'll be a lot more inclined to spend a bit more money on their asset to improve it if they know that like someone like yourself is going to guarantee them a fixed income for
Yeah. Yeah.
the whole property for like a period of time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
So that's kind of how it's been for us. Um, when you say you work in accounts, is that like accountancy or
Yeah, accountancy. So I've been studying to become a chartered accountant.
okay?
I just finished a set of exams and I've got like a 9 month sort of break now in between.
Hmm.
And like I was looking into this and I was kind of seeing if I could put some hours into this and
Hmm.
if I was able to get this to kind of kick off, I would potentially look at postponing the exams or maybe not even doing the exams because at the end of the day, it's not something that's fulfilling me. It's not something that's and I'm enjoying that much. It's just a job. It's like if I gotta do it, I will do it.
Yeah,
But
of course, of
something
course.
like this really kind of gets me flowing a little bit more, gets my juices going
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's working for yourself. Is the amount of time that you put in
yeah,
is kind of the results that you're gonna get out.
yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
spot
and
on.
like with through the exams, I kind of like used to the hard work already. Like I'm used to going to work,
Hmm.
coming home, doing 3 hours extra work, working on the weekends.
Hmm.
Like I'm not kind of work shy. I'm already doing that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
just wanted for now something to funnel my time into. And if it does take off, even if I could get say one deal, like that would prove to me that I can do it,
Of course.
and that would be enough for me to kind of like push on. Then
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
so. Yeah, it's something I was kind
definitely.
of excited by.
Yeah, I mean that's how it was for me. I wasn't aware that you could even do this sort of thing 7 years ago when we started. I thought you just had to have loads of money to get started in property, and that was the only way, you know. But once I got educated on it and I found out that you could control properties just the same way as owning them, and even make a bit more cash flow from doing that at times. That sort of blew my mind. And like you say, yeah, it got my juices going a bit more and it intrigued me. And then yeah, once I got my first one, that was like the proof of concept for me. And then we just didn't stop from there really. It was just like kept going from there and
Yeah,
you just get momentum, don't you? You just keep going.
yeah, exactly.
Don't see any reason why it couldn't work for you if you have that time and you're willing to put the work in. Uh,
Yeah.
we do have a lot of people that come in from like 9 to 5 jobs, and some of them struggle with putting in a couple of hours after work. But I mean, if you're the type of person that can do, 6 to 8 or 5 till 7 in the
Oh,
evening,
definitely. Yeah, I've been
it's-
doing that already, so it's
yeah, yeah.
no
So,
dramas.
so if you're already in that habit, then I mean, it wouldn't be an issue for you. Most of the work involved in getting your first deal is like in the beginning, like most things, like you have to put most of the hard work goes into the output, I'd say, or the outreach in terms of speaking with landlords, speaking with agents. It's just a numbers
Yeah.
game. Once you
Hmm.
understand how to communicate it, then it's just about speaking to the right amount of people. And like, not every landlord's going to go for it. Most won't, but some will get that synergy with you. They will like what you're offering. Um, they'll probably want to meet you before they want to agree to anything, which is
Yeah.
fine. Most of our deals have been done face to face. So we do various different marketing techniques and then we get them on the phone and then we go and meet them. Normally
Yeah.
we close when we meet them and have a chat, have a coffee and sort of go over what they expect and what we expect. And then we just try and find a middle ground really and try and find like the win-win scenario for both parties and then agree and then over deliver on the service basically and
Yeah.
that's been how it's been working for us. And if you've got that attitude towards building your own business and you want to grow and you're an ambitious bloke, then there's no reason why it couldn't work for you too as well.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It sounds good. Yeah.
We have helped people like you before in the past. We've got an accountant who actually has got 2 deals up in Coventry, 2 HMOs that
Yeah.
he does rent to rent with. So it might be good for you to even watch his interview. It's on YouTube. If you follow us on YouTube, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah. I'll have a look. Yeah.
Yeah, his name's Tim. So it's accountant to property entrepreneurs. It's a good 50-minute interview on there, and we have a chat with him, and he tells us his story. But similar to yourself, good at numbers, wanted to build an extra income on the side of what he's doing, with the goal of eventually, he's got 2 now. They're making him around 1,500, 2 grand a month, between the 2 properties. So one more, and he's looking at potentially packing in the accountant's job and going full
Yeah.
time into it. So similar story to
Yeah.
yourself, so that could that
Yeah.
could
I'll have a
definitely
look at that. Yeah.
that could definitely be you. Any more questions for me?
In terms of like, say you're looking at a deal, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just how much would one sort of deal? How much would you kind of like have a minimum sort of profit on that deal per month?
600 is the minimum.
600 quid. And would you always go for the HMO option, or is there other options that you've considered?
Um,
What would you
well,
think is the easiest to start off with?
well, I always encourage people to have a bit of a mixed bag. Like I like
Yeah,
having a bit of a diverse portfolio, but we certainly started with HMOs first. Just because once you do get them tenanted, they're more of a like a predictable income. Whereas with the
yeah,
serviced accommodation side of things, which we do teach you in the course as well, um, it can be a little bit more volatile in terms of like up and down. Like
yeah.
one month you might make £1,000, next month you might make £200, and it's like I
Depends
can't
on
really
what's
work
going
this
on in
out.
the area,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
So as
Yeah,
a business, it's nice to have like predictable income because then you can kind of like move on to the next thing and grow it and
yeah,
scale it. Whereas I found with serviced accommodation, it can be a bit fluctuating here and there. So um, the HMO landlords are normally the guys that are in more pain in terms of they're
yeah,
having experiencing difficulty.
yeah. I get you.
So
Yeah,
so those are the guys who your service stands out more to because they're like, okay, no, this could really help me. Whereas when you're approaching 2 and 3 bed houses or apartments, for example, those guys have hundreds of applications from like normal tenants as well.
hmm,
So there has to be some sort of issue that they're going through to sort of consider your offer. Maybe, I don't know, they're having difficulty renting it or it's not in very good condition. They have to be in some sort of pain as well, really. But we just find
yeah,
with the HMOs, they tend to be in more pain because it's a higher scale operation, more people, more rooms, they've got to pay all the bills, etc. Whereas targeting like a smaller property, they might not even know about rent to rent. They might only be used to renting to single let. So you may have to
Yeah.
educate them more on like the
Okay.
service you
Yeah.
can provide. It does work though. We've got some smaller units, 2 and 3 bed houses that we do guarantee a rent and then rent it out on Airbnb. But um, I'd say to start off with, the HMO side would probably be the more predictable way of doing
Yeah.
things. But then, we've got quite a few lads that are flying from only doing serviced accommodation. It just depends on the area. It depends what the market's like, your appetite for advertising on Airbnb, Booking.com. Obviously, you have to employ a cleaner more frequently with that side of things than you do with the
Yeah. Yeah.
HMO side. So there's a few more moving parts to it, but um, I'd say start with HMOs and move on to service
Yeah.
accommodation. That's what we
Okay.
did. But I do have some students that have done it the other way around and they swear by it. And, I got one lad in Birmingham who's making nearly 4 or 5 grand from 2 to 3 HMOs, but they're actually all on Airbnb. So he's
hmm
targeted an HMO, but he rents them
Yeah.
out by the
Okay.
night for the whole building. So a mixture of the two, bro. It just depends whatever
Yeah.
comes first.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So in is there a lot on there in terms of like how to generate leads? How do you go about that? Is it just mainly like because how would you say you know a certain property is a HMO? How would you then find who to contact in regards to that?
Yeah, well, you've got the lists on the council, haven't you? There's quite a few ways of approaching those people. We like to send a lot of direct mail. This is all included in the program,
Is that
So
it is in the course? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, all of that's
That
in there.
kind of
Yeah,
like,
yeah, of
yeah,
course, of course. Because remember, we're guaranteeing you the result, right? So
yeah, yeah.
it wouldn't make any sense for us to not have
No, no, of
as
course.
as many ways as possible for you to get the result.
To
So
succeed, yeah, I
yeah,
suppose. Yeah.
yeah. So we've got many different ways that we use, but ultimately it's a
Okay.
mixture of guerrilla marketing, um, also marketing online, Facebook, different platforms like that. You get landlords in these Facebook groups that are complaining about a bad tenant or a bad estate agent,
Yeah.
and it's always a good opportunity to join those groups and sort of infiltrate them and maybe send them a link to your website and then get them on the phone to have a chat with them, warm them up a little bit, and then go and meet them somewhere and have a conversation and hash out, what would you like to do, where would you like to get to, and hopefully we can help you get there. That type of
Okay.
conversation. So there's various different ways to find landlords, especially the HMO side of things. The list on the website of most councils is a good place to start. But included in the program, we've got about 3 or 4 different letter templates that we send, like a marketing campaign. And we're
Yeah.
quite specific with the text and the wording that we use to sort of call them out and call out the pain points and really stress that to them and get them to book a call with us. And then we go from there. So it's just
Yeah.
a numbers game. Once you have those systems in place and you're consistently doing the right things over and over again, then it's just a matter of how many people are you going to speak to. You might have to speak to
Yeah.
20, 30 landlords and you might close 2 of them.
I
That's
suppose all that comes with more experience as well.
Yeah,
Like
of
once you've
course.
spoken to sort of 5 landlords, I suppose you know what kind of questions they're going to ask
Yeah, yeah. And
and
we've
how
got
to
like
field those type of
exactly,
questions.
exactly. And in there, in the program, we've got like a PDF that you'd have up on your laptop when you're speaking to the landlords that will
Yeah.
give you like we normally put them into 3 different categories. So you've got like the money orientated landlord who's going to be like, how much can you pay me?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
got different types of landlords who are a bit wealthier, who are more like, well, happy to have a bit more time. So they're more interested in like the management, the maintenance, how are you going to make this completely passive for me? That's
Yeah.
more questions that they ask. So we have all these different templates for you that will help make it a lot easier for you to
Yeah.
work your way
Exactly.
through those phone calls and say the right things,
Okay. Cool.
basically. So we've got all of that covered. That's all in there. But once you have all that dialed in and you basically plug in our systems to your business, then it's just a case of doing the work over and over again, a couple hours a day for a few weeks slash a few months, depending on how long it takes. And there's no reason why you can't get a deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it definitely sort of fits in with my time scale as well. So like the
Yeah.
9 month I got sort of thing. So yeah,
Yeah, I think
sounds
it could
good.
be good for you. Like we we like to have these calls so we can get to know the person who's interested in the program, right? And sometimes I do have to tell people like I don't think it's for you, just
Yeah.
because I can tell by speaking to them that they're not really going to do the work. Maybe they've seen a post on Instagram and they think it's just going to be like they're making 100 grand in a couple weeks,
Get
So
rich quick sort of thing,
yeah,
is
yeah,
it?
yeah. So I have to
Yeah.
kind of like have a chat with people and find out if they are a bit more realistic. But I do think you could be a good fit for it. We have helped people like you in the past before. And the fact that you're already in that habit of doing a couple of hours
Yeah,
after work,
yeah.
that's already half the battle there, because a lot of people, they just get in from work, they're exhausted.
They
And
just sit down and do fuck all,
yeah,
for
and
want
then
of a
and
better
then and
word.
then they, and then they wonder why they haven't got anywhere. And it's
Yeah,
like,
nah,
well,
that ain't me. So yeah,
yeah, well then, as long as that's not you, then we're good, bro. I don't see any
yeah.
reason why it couldn't work.
Uh, Sounds good. Cheers for the call, mate.
No worries,
Nice
mate.
to speak to you.
Hope I've answered all your questions.
Yeah, yeah, you have. Yeah,
And
I'll definitely be back in touch.
yeah, okay, cool. Well, we'll send you an email. Have a nice Christmas. Have a think
Yeah,
about
and you.
things. If you do have any more questions, then just jump on another call if you want. If not, then hopefully we see you in the program at some point.
Wicked. Nice one, mate.
Take care, mate. Have a good Christmas. Take
Cheers.
care.
Ta-ra. Bye.
Bye. Bye.